I'm here with the lovely Bev Mann. Bev, thank you. I'm not sure if I'm excited, nervous, or a little delusional as to what I'm letting myself in for with you today.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure to be here, Jen. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, well, it's wonderful. And I mean, I love your setup. Purple. I love purple. And look, I'm wearing purple too. Isn't that weird?
Oh, wow. And you've got white feathers on
And
it.
I've got white
Lilac
feathers.
feathers.
Isn't this
Yeah.
weird?
Well, I was going to put lilac on, but I thought I might disappear into the wall. You might think you've seen a whole apparition disappear.
Well, Bev, I feel like I need to bow down to you. This you're an incredible medium, psychic. I don't know how you want yourself to be known as. You'll tell us a little bit about your story and the wonderful work you do. And obviously, we're looking at for Fizz and Tell the bits that women in particular struggle with in their life, especially women over 40 and women of a certain age, which we're both in that age range, and how life throws us so much nowadays and how we actually manage it, and different people that bring their wisdom and bring their tools and bring their support to help women like us. And to have you here is a gift. So thank you for taking the time out to talk to us today. And tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and let's start delving into your wonderful wisdom.
Thank you. So my name is Bev Mann, also known as Mediumship from the Heart. And that name came to me one day when I was going to be working in America, and the medium said, "Well, what do we call you?" And she said, "Well, hang on, I'll go away and I'll connect in." And she came back like literally 3 minutes later. She called me back from the States and said, "Right, you're Mediumship from the Heart," because she had seen me work before on a stage, and so the name has stayed with me, and I totally resonate with that name because I feel like everything I do is from the heart. And it's about healing. And I will tell a bit about my story, but I just wanted to say on the back of what you've just said is that, there's such stories about mediums, psychics, and so much, that's in the papers or on the news or on films and TV where people are scared of us, when actually, I say to people, you've got more chance of being hurt by people on the earth plane, your loved ones. There's so much around you because they want to give you that love and support. But sometimes we just don't know how to reach out for that. And this is when people come to me, it's for healing and for upliftment. So I just wanted to say that straight away in case people think they're going to get the heebie-jeebies, because believe you me, if there was anything like that, I'd be out the door in a moment. I wouldn't hang around. But anyway, my journey, well, I actually wrote my book a couple of years ago about my story. And actually the book was supposed to go a different line, but it ended up more about how people don't realize how spiritual they are. And I think, especially for women our age, we go through various different, I always say to people, life is never a straight, flat line. Otherwise it would be a boring life. It's a roller coaster. We have our ups and downs, we go through life, we get married, we might get divorced, we pick ourselves up again, someone passes, to the spirit world. And so our life is a roller coaster. And our job as a medium is to help people on their journey. So basically, when I was a little girl growing up, I was always called very sensitive. "Oh, you're so sensitive." I never fitted in at school. That's a very big, there's so many like different signs as to whether you're, you have this gift. And one of them is sensitivity. So, like Jen, when sometimes someone's saying something to you, like they're saying one thing and inside of you, your intuition is telling you they don't mean that. The words and the vibe,
Oh, constantly on a daily basis, I'm
heart.
questioning myself as well as other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was very sensitive as a child. I also had a lot of night terrors. My parents called it the night terrors because I came from a traditional Jewish background, and my family just didn't really understand it, albeit my father, he was very spiritual, and he used to take me when I was a little bit older as a teenager for healing, but I didn't really understand. And so I got very scared. But after a while growing up, I realized it wasn't anything to do with the house. It was me, because it would happen even on holiday.
Oh.
And I'd see things, I'd hear things. And then scroll forward many years later, I was married, and I was expecting my firstborn child, and I was almost about to pop. And my father became ill again, and I was devastated, because I rang up the healing sanctuary that I used to go with my father, and instead of them saying, oh yes, we'll send out some healing for him in the usual comforting way, they said to me, I'm really sorry, Beverly, but it's his time. And that completely threw me, together with the non-bedside manner of the specialist who was handling my dad's case. So I had my son early so my dad could see him. So I literally gave birth and lost my dad within a few days of it all happening. I had a cesarean. And it was massive, because what should have been the happiest time in my life was also the saddest time in my life, because I was so close to my dad. We had this beautiful relationship. And I didn't realize until I was much older that, scroll on, my kids were getting older, I should say, not me, I'd never get older.
And
My
we go in
kids were
reverse
getting
now,
older.
don't we? We've got to that point where, right, we're reversing now.
Yeah, exactly. I was invited to go to a circle, which is a development group. And I thought, oh, do I need to go to this? But I had been told that I was a medium. When I used to go for readings, trying to connect with my father, I was told many times that I was a medium. And one woman's medium said to me, you should be swapping chairs with me. So anyway, I went to this development circle, and we were all doing meditating. And I had never sat for development, didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know how to meditate. I mean, I'm going back maybe 20 odd years when meditation wasn't a big thing. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm probably doing my shopping list in my head. And the tutor came to me and she said, well, what did you experience? And I said, nothing. And she
I've
said,
run
well,
out of potatoes.
yeah, I need some
Don't
more
forget the
nut
milk.
liquid. Yeah, exactly. And she said, well, you must have got something. I said, nope. She said, well, just tell me your experience. And I said, well, as I came in, there was a man sitting in that chair. I showed her the chair. I described what he looked like, what he was wearing, because he wore a special outfit, and how he felt. And she went, that's my late husband. He died 6 months ago, and that's his favorite chair. So, of course, I bowled myself over as well as everyone else. Scroll forward to the following week, and we had to hold a piece of jewelry, which is called psychometry. And I picked up this ring, and then I said lots of things when it came to my turn. And she said, oh my God, you've just given his whole eulogy, like almost word for word. So I really freaked myself out. And that's how it all started. I started going to other development groups. I went to a well-renowned college called the Arthur Finlay College, where one day I heard in my head, go to this college. I Googled it, put myself in. And anyway, it's all in my book, but how I developed. And I found my true passion, because I was someone who didn't even have the patience to read a book, let alone write a book. So, and the wonderful gift of this, Jen, is being able to help others. And when I'm working, sometimes it's not always our nearest and dearest that will come through. I have to say, I have no control over who comes forward. I just open the door for someone in the spirit world to step forward. And hopefully it is their nearest and dearest, but sometimes it's someone who understands what that person's going through. So, for example, we're all going through that loneliness and self-doubt, self-worth journey. So I could be sitting with someone, and I do a lot of readings on Zoom because I have a lot of international clients. And it could be someone who went through that painful journey of loneliness, and is now on the other side. And they want to come forward to help them. So this is what I love doing. It's about healing. It's about upliftment. My head doesn't spin round 6 times like in the
Damn it, I was waiting for you to do a demonstration. Don't give yourself whiplash, please.
But no, it all comes from love, and you feel such elation.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going through a period. So I'll stop talking a minute. I think we're going through a period right now where we are going through an evolvement. We are all evolving. And I happened to listen to your podcast last night when you were interviewing someone, and you were talking about the Celestine prophecies.
Yes.
The
Some of the
book.
first books I read in my early 20s that got me into my journey to do
What a
with
wonderful
energy.
book. What a wonderful series of books.
Yeah.
I recommend them to anyone. And that's how I see it now, that we're stepping into this from 3D, the 3D world, which is basically, people ask me what's 3D. 3D is when we're stuck in the material world, like our houses, our cars, what clothes we're wearing, the superficial material world.
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that move you forward. That's another story. And then when we're moving into 5D, that's the higher, as you know, Jen, it's the higher perspective. It's a different way of living life. And I feel that especially after COVID, people are moving into 5D.
We almost needed COVID for all its horrors to push us into this next evolution process.
Absolutely. And I did find during COVID, I did a lot of free sessions. I did a lot of free readings online just to keep people's spirits up, excuse the word spirits, but just to keep their spirits up. And I also did a lot of free teaching online, because people were realizing, they couldn't get their hair done. They couldn't get their fix for shopping and going out and buying new shoes, etc. And they were stuck within themselves and their family, and there was no way out. The only way was in.
Yes.
And that really scared, and so many people are starting to wake up.
They are. I mean, we're seeing that in all walks of life. There's things that people never spoke about, like menopause. It was a taboo subject. Women aren't allowed to talk about menopause. We've got people who are single who have had this superficial way of dating. A lot of people now are starting to realize values and having the same belief systems. Those things are far more important to meet someone on that level, an emotional level, rather than this superficial level. So we're seeing in all walks of life, we're seeing people with this awakening, but I also think there's a huge amount of sadness and a lot of loss that's making people seek more and understand more. I mean, I lost my father at the beginning of COVID, not due to COVID, but due to cancer, and they thought he had COVID, and it was absolutely horrific. It was traumatic for everyone involved. COVID just added that extra pressure. And I think those of us who have lost loved ones, and there's so many women that I'm meeting at the moment who've become widowed in the last 3 to 5 years, women of even younger women from early 40s up to all sorts of ages, and men as well. And I think that's one of those things that when you've lost someone so suddenly, you need that comfort, you need to understand, and you need to heal. And grief goes in all sorts of weird and wonderful waves. I remember once standing in the supermarket and I saw the chutney that my father loved, and it was a Christmas, just like now coming up to Christmas, and I just ditched my shopping trolley and got the hell out of there. And I thought, thank God I've got a mask on so no one can see me. And I might sneak back and try and get it later, retrieve it, or I might not. Because there's these overwhelming pain points.
Trigger points, you know, they're those triggers
Totally. And you know, talking to someone like you gives people a totally different perspective of how to manage that pain and how to manage that grief. And I think that's,
and I can see now, I can see now in your demeanor how much that has really touched your heart. And I want to say to you, Jen, my job as a medium would be to get what I call the golden nuggets. And I'm also a teacher. I'm a spiritual medium. I'm a teacher as well, psychic development and mediumistic, and as well as an author. And our job as a medium, is what I teach my students anyway, is to get those golden nuggets so that your loved ones, we can be perhaps their final choice, the final time that they can come through, be their final voice. I should say not choice, voice. Of course, they choose the medium, to say, I love you. And as well as that, all of a sudden the medium says, what chutney was it?
It was Sharwood's chutney.
Sharwood's chutney. I mean, I have seen the most amazing things, and I think to myself, I can't possibly say that. I mean, there's just I've got some really funny stories, but you know, they are the golden nuggets. They're like, you know, people accuse us of looking them up on you know, Googling their names. As a medium, I have to have a clean palette. I don't want to know anything about anyone, so I don't really read for friends at all, unless their loved ones sneak in occasionally. But I like an artist, a clean palette. And for me, getting those little things, like saying to you, your father's talking about Sharwood's chutney. How could I possibly know that?
I know.
That's the beauty of mediumship. It's not sort of saying to someone, oh, I've got your father here who's 5'6" and he wears a suit, or I've got your grandma here and she wears an apron and bakes apple pies. Because so many grandmas now.
That would never be either of my grannies.
No, exactly. But it's a stereotypical thing. And in nowadays, we've got grandmas. I mean, look, I'm a grandma.
So am I. Yeah.
Some of us have got tattoos, and not that I have tattoos or body piercings, and we live in a different era to what they did many years ago. So all these things, if you went to a medium, Jen, and you heard that, it's
validation, isn't it? It's
the validation
that they're talking about the right person. And I remember someone very spiritual said to me before I moved here into this house, she came up to me in a shop, actually. She said to me, oh, I've got to tell you something. And I thought, what's this all about? And I never met this woman in my life. She said, there's a man here who is nagging me to tell you the house you're going to buy, it's got beautiful light. Beautiful light.
Oh, lovely.
And the following week I came to this house and I stood here, just in this corner here, with the sun shining down on me. And it just made me think, what beautiful light it's got. And it took me back. And I thought, okay, this is going to be my house. And it gave me the confidence to take this project on and to move here, knowing that it would give me the happiness and the love. And I feel my dad around me all the time in this house. I really do. I don't feel alone. I'll go into the living room where I've got his desk and I'll say, hi, Pops, what's going on today?
Now, I'm actually here on my mum. I've got my mum's table here and sideboard there. But what I do say to people, Jen, other mediums, and when I'm training mediums, do not go up to people and do party tricks, what I call them party tricks, like tell people things, because first of all, most mediums like myself, I don't walk around open. People think, especially as I'm dating, you know, people think, oh, is she reading me all the time? No, I'm not. I'm just wondering, you know, if my hair's okay.
It was lovely to hear though, Bev. It was so nice and comforting.
I know. But you see, I'll tell you a little story very quickly. I was getting my nails done years ago when I was, you know, not long into my journey. I was working and I was having my nails done, and all of a sudden it was like someone was nudging me and they're going, go on, tell her George is here. Go on, tell her George is here. And I thought, what shall I do? What shall I do? Anyway, I didn't say anything. And I'm pleased that I didn't. The reason is because the person next to me might have been unkind, let's say unkind to that woman. And she may think that he's gone and buried and finished with. And then all of a sudden I'm bringing up George and she doesn't want to talk to George anymore. Yeah. So I always say to my students, be mindful of what you give. If someone comes to you for reading that's different, it's just about personal responsibility. And I only say that, like, and it was wonderful for you because you're open to it, but not everyone is open to it, and you could freak people out.
Yeah, she did ask, "Can I tell you something?" I was like, "Yeah, what are you telling me? Can you give me tonight's lottery numbers? I'd love those."
Yeah. People ask me, "Have you got the lottery number?" But going back to what you said about COVID and losing your dad, and that's the whole thing as well. There were a lot of people that were unable to say goodbye. And we've now got kind of like a bit of an influx of people that are carrying perhaps some guilt, some shame. They want to know. And sometimes I can automatically tell that they didn't get that chance to say goodbye. And I never know what the spirit world are going to tell me. But the other day I had something and I repeated. She said, basically repeated what she had said before he passed. She was actually there at his passing. And it's that kind of thing, when we're in a loving environment here or online, that can bring people that comfort to know that their loved ones energetically, they're not here anymore. Like, I miss my mum and dad so desperately, and people say, well, you're a medium, you can talk to them all the time. I can't. I have to rely on other mediums. But they're just like, because we can't see them, we can't hear them, and perhaps we can't feel them, it doesn't mean that they're not around us.
So how can we connect if we feel that pain and we feel that sorrow and we feel perhaps someone is around? Is there a way for us to get that inner peace and that inner healing that can give us comfort in a way that people are crying out for that comfort right now? I'm seeing it so much. What would you recommend?
I always say to people, are you actually asking for a sign? And I talk about this in my book. Are you actually asking for a sign? Because most of us are not asking for help. And anything I say or share here is based on my understanding. And I always say to people, take what resonates with you, and whatever you don't want, discard. And that's what a good medium or anyone in any form should say. But I feel like if, for example, we're going to the shops and we want a parking space, how many times have we asked our angels for a parking space?
Oh, I call out the parking fairy as I drive in.
Parking fairies, so the parking angel. Mine are called the parking angels.
I have to be in the same row each time, otherwise I forget where I've parked my car.
Because I honestly believe a lot of the time spirit or our guides or our angels don't like to interfere unless we ask for help. And it's about asking for help, asking for your loved ones to step forward and help you. Sometimes I'll sit, and how you can do that as well is going into that quiet space, into that meditative space, and just ask them to come around you. And sometimes you'll feel so much love and energy around you. Show me a sign. I had a guy who came to my early days of my development classes, and he was very skeptical, but he wanted to learn. And he said to me, I'd like to think my dad's around me, but I'm not. I said to him, ask for a sign, ask for a sign. So he said he was driving along the motorway, because I told him a story about me driving along the motorway. I'd asked for a star, and it was a really cold, wet, rainy, drizzly night. You couldn't see the sky. And I said, if I'm supposed to be on this particular course coming up, I want to see a star. And then a big
You weren't
Texaco
asking for
lorry
much,
went
were
by.
you?
Yeah, exactly. I like to challenge them. A big Texaco lorry comes back with a big star on the barrel thing.
Oh, wow.
So I said to him, also, so he said, Bev, I took a leaf from your book. He said, I wanted to know if my dad was around me. So I was driving along on the motorway. I said, I want to see a fish.
A fish.
See a fish. All of a sudden, a lorry went by and it had a picture of a fish on the mud flap of the wheel. It had a fish. And he said to me the next time he came to class, Bev, I believe you. It's all about faith. It's all about having that faith. And I do believe that they listen to us. They can't always fix everything. But if we live in such a busy world that we don't take the time to sit with ourselves, I'm guilty of it as well.
Yeah. I
We
think we
just
all are.
ask for that help.
And I think actually you're so right, is we don't ask for help full stop.
Yeah, we might ask for help for other people, but not for ourselves.
Not for ourselves, not for ourselves. It's the same when I'm working with clients from a coaching perspective. Often they'll start and I say, how was your week? And they'll tell me about everybody else. And I say, no, how was your week? You, not everybody else.
I often say to my students, I say, well, did you meditate this week? You know, we have weekly classes. Did you meditate this week? And they say, I said, come on, be honest. No, I didn't. And I said, it's fine. I'm not berating you, but you've got 10 minutes to phone a friend and listen to their problems. Why don't you sit and listen to yours? Listen to your own inner voice. That's the time when we get what we call the downloads. And, you know, those little moments that would tell us something. But if we need to take that time to stop and listen.
And we don't, do we? We don't take that time out for us. And I think since I've moved here, because I love the light here, this is my room. I've made myself a little corner. I've got my father's old chair in the corner there. And sometimes I'll just sit here with a blanket round me and maybe a lamp on, a nice warm cup of tea. And I'd sit and do nothing, absolutely nothing for about 10 minutes, just to listen to my breathing, listen to the birds outside, and that's it. And it's so recharging. It really is.
You ask him to come and sit with you as well?
I never have done,
Well,
but I'm
there's
going
a little
to.
thought. There is a little thought.
It is a little thought. I usually get the cats, the
Yeah.
dog, and a few birds outside, but I've never asked for anyone else to come and join me. But
Lovely robin. That's a lovely sign as well.
I've got
You've got your
loads of
angel
robins.
feathers, you've got your,
Yeah.
you know, I had a client once and I said to her, do you understand about a coin under your pillow? And she said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, I'm sorry, but there's a coin under your pillow. It's going to be there. 2 days later, she called me and she said, I went to bed, I woke up, there was a gold penny under my pillow and it came from nowhere.
Wow.
So it's just proof that they're around, that they listen to our conversations. They're not watching you all the time, by the way. You when you're in the toilet or anything else. They keep us light, you know, because that's what we are. We're all energy. We're a light, and we're a beacon of light. But just going back to what you were talking about with, you know, losing people. We're coming up to Christmas, and I've put out about readings because, you know, for me, Christmas is never the same without my mum and dad. We had such special moments. And I know I was talking to you yesterday about my, you know, I've got the cocktail cabinet here, which belonged to my mum and dad. And some of my medium friends walked past and they said, oh, is there any relevance to that cocktail cabinet? I said, yes, my mum and dad thought so. But I have memories of my dad opening the cocktail cabinet and making my mum a sherry, a little glass of sherry, tiny. And then, where's mum? You know, the dinner's boiling away. Well, it's ready. Where is she? She's flat out on the sofa. She'd had that little sherry. But these are the little memories that make a lovely read. Not only make a lovely reading, what I wanted to say is is that how we miss our loved ones.
Yeah.
Those my Christmases will never be the same, even though I've got my own family now and they're fabulous. It's the nostalgia that you miss.
Yes. Yeah, it is the nostalgia, and it's lovely to tell those stories, to share those stories. I remember when I was younger, my grandmother used to both my grandmothers used to tell me about their childhood and their stories. And now it's me telling my granddaughter about what Christmas was like when I was a little girl and what we used to do. And she'll sometimes say, "Can we do that? Can we do that?" And
Okay.
it's sharing those little moments and creating. We've got to remember we're creating memories for everybody else in our lives.
And that's when I'm doing my readings, Jen, that it's so important to recreate those special memories. It's not just I've got your father. I used to go for readings and say, "Hey, I've got your father here, who's a lovely man." Anyone can say that psychically, but
Yeah.
what I want to remember is how I used to sit on my dad's lap and play with his ear. If there's any mediums on this podcast, you haven't heard it. But the music, the songs we used to listen to, the bits of evidence that I couldn't possibly know. That's what's so beautiful. Being able to bringing someone's loved one literally alive within that hour's reading and coming away. Some people come in a bit like Eeyore with a cloud over their head and they haven't got any direction. And I do use cards as well if they want, but I never ever give any bad news. That's another thing, fallacy about mediums. And I absolutely hate that with a passion.
Yeah.
If I find anyone doing it, I will tell them what I think. And that came from many years ago. I went with my ex-husband to a health spa and we went to see what the chat was about. We were only staying one night and it was about the life of a clairvoyancy. And I heard someone stand up and say, "I was told I was going to have 36 years bad luck and I'm only in my 33rd. And we don't give out we don't do things well.
There's so many people that give every profession a bad name, though, isn't there? That's the problem. That's the problem.
I don't touch health. People say, "Can you tell me about health?" I don't do health. I say to the spirit world, I don't want to know anything bad. Don't tell me anything. Why would they tell you anything bad? The purpose of reading is to uplift someone and give healing. And I have people skipping out the door, literally.
Yeah, I can imagine. Bev, how do you know if you're getting a reading from someone who's authentic and genuine and someone who isn't? Because that's the question.
I love it.
That I think is really important, because people are listening to this thinking, I've got questions. I want to speak to someone who's going to give me the answers. I mean, apart from the beautiful you, if people say, "Oh, I've got someone I can recommend," and how do you know if someone's authentic and genuine? Because that's always so hard.
Always check someone out. There is on my website, which is currently being updated. It's a little bit old. You'll find me with red hair. On my website, it says what to expect from a reading.
Okay.
And a good medium, a legitimate medium, will not want to know anything about you. I've had someone come for a reading and they say, "I want my daughter to come," or "I want, my father to come." I said, "Well, when they contact me, don't say who recommended them, obviously, unless they're a distant friend. But if they're family, I don't want to know, because that will make me link in psychically. I don't want to do that. I want to get it direct from the spirit world." So number one, I don't want to know anything about you. I want a complete, like an artist, I was saying, a complete clean palette. I don't want to be added onto your Facebook wall. I'm not going to look at your social media. I take a recommendation, a personal recommendation. When you see people recommending, quite often their friends, you need to check out testimonials. There's some testimonials on my website. I've got loads more. I don't always put them on. Follow your own intuition.
Yeah.
I believe that your spirit person will guide you to the right medium. They choose us. You don't choose us. They choose us. Trust your gut. If something doesn't feel right, don't do it. You know, do you feel a resonance? Do you feel a connection with someone? Do you feel you can trust them? If I do a reading for someone and they have paid in advance, say if it's online, I've got my own rule, and it's basically most good mediums will adhere to it. If you don't understand what I'm saying, because sometimes you can't always read for everyone. That's another thing. A medium who tells you can read for anybody, that's not true.
No.
It's all based on energy, your energy, my energy.
Yeah.
If
Someone
it
could be
doesn't
completely
work,
blocked as well. Someone
or
could be
some people sit like this.
Yeah.
How am I going to read for you when you're blocking? So if it doesn't work, after it's supposed to be 10 minutes, but after I'll give it a good 20 minutes or so, and I'll just say, I'm really sorry, here's your money back.
And that's
Because
very
it's
fair,
not about the money.
it's very fair. And you know, people say, oh, charlatan and all of this, but you've just proved very authentically there are some steps that people can take so that they're not feeling that they're being ripped off by anybody, because it's difficult. It's the same with as a coach. People say there are so many good coaches out there, but there are so many bad coaches out there. What makes
But it's like anything.
coach? Yeah, it's the same with
it's like anything. You
education.
go to a car mechanic, is that not, sorry, car mechanics, but isn't that a business? They're fiddling around under your bonnet and they're saying, oh, you need this, you need that. You know, how do you know?
Yes.
Or Peter the plumber, sorry, Peters,
Yeah.
Peter the plumber that tells you your pipes are frozen. You know,
you need a new boiler.
Yeah. You need a new boiler.
Yeah.
So you have to rely on your own intuition.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to call me a charlatan, come here and I'd love to show you, because I 100% know the magic that happens. And it is such a beautiful gift. And let me tell you something else, everyone, that I could probably train each and every one of you to be able to do this, because did you know that you're only using about 8% of your brain? It's a well-known fact. So what's the other 92% of your brain doing? You know,
Bev, that's a whole other podcast, that one. What's the other 92% of your brain doing?
Exactly, because it's like a muscle. So the more you train in something, it's if you go to the gym, you're going to have great muscles. You can tell I don't go, but the muscles in my brain, talking to other people, the more you do it, the better you become.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's one of those things that I think my grandmother was, she just said she was gifted, and she would get all these messages, and she'd read cards and all sorts of things. And so we'd often sit down and say, Grandma, pull a card for me.
It's a natural gift. Everybody has a natural gift.
And she used to say that to us. She said, look, you've all got it. You don't need me to tell you. What do you think? What is your instinct telling you? And it's so
and true. Another thing, what people say as well, if it's a gift, like, why do people charge? Well, it's a gift to paint. It's a gift to repair a car. You know, we all have expenses to pay. But yeah, what was I going to say?
Oh yeah, show your book.
This innate gift. Sorry?
Before we finish, show your book.
Yeah, we all have this innate gift, but I just want to say as well, I put so much into my training. I'm often going on train because you can never stop learning. And I love to learn, and I love to, you know, just extend my own knowledge. So it's a journey. So that's my book. Like I said, it started off
Spirits, Scandal, and Sparkly Shoes.
Confessions of a Kosher Medium.
Sparkly shoes, it's a must.
So I'm well known for my sparkly shoes.
Oh, well, you've got sparkly nails.
These are my original pair. You can see how well worn they are. Look, they haven't even, I left the end of it in America. These are my sparkly shoes, and I got very well Cinderella. Come to my wardrobe, you'll see all my sparkly shoes. So
I love it.
It's called Spirit, Scandal, Sparkly Shoes, because there's lots of scandal, well, bits of scandal in there about my journey. You know, how it affected me, because being on the spiritual pathway, you know, I'm caught in the materialistic world in the area that I live in London. And my journey is changing. I'm meeting all these wonderful spiritual people, and it's about how my life changed. I got divorced. So that's another thing, how it affected me, our sensitivity, and how life is after divorce. So it also tells of some of my readings, some of my experiences.
Because you've
Where
read for so many famous people, haven't you? You've had an incredible client base over the years.
Yes, I have. And I don't know if anyone knows of Doris Stokes. She was a very famous medium in the last century, and her biographer helped me write this book. So I know that Doris Stokes helps me with my readings. Whenever I do my readings, I say, come on, Doris, come and help me with my readings.
We get two for the price of one.
Exactly. She's the voices in my ear. So yeah, it talks about asking for signs, and it's funny and it's sad because it talks about when I lost my mum and when I lost my dad. And most people I've got wonderful reviews. Everyone said they read it in 2 days because it was one of those keep turning the pages.
And
So
Amazon, we can get it on Amazon.
on Amazon, I can put
Wonderful.
I should have given you the link.
We can
And the
share that.
reviews is there. I'm halfway through my second book, I was telling you, which is about dating in your latter years, in your 50s.
Fantastic.
50s and 60s. So that's going to be a real
And
send
I
up.
know that's going to be hilarious with some of the stories you
I have
told
got
me.
so many funny stories. So we're
That should be
halfway through
confessions
it.
of a dataholic.
Yeah, well, it's going to be Confessions of a Kosher Medium, but it's going to be the Kosher Medium Swipes Right, or something like that is the title. I'm not quite
Love
able
it.
to say yet. But that's being cooked in the oven at the moment.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Bev, we could talk all day,
I
and
know. I'm so passionate about what I do. I know,
that just
like
shines
you said,
through.
you'll always get people that are poo-poo it. It's like, bring it on. I
Yeah.
actually feel sad for people that don't get it, because there is a beautiful world of love, spirit, kindness, and healing if people would just take that step and have that faith to do it.
Yeah, I agree. What a wonderful way to end this podcast, with love and faith. So thank you. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you like what we do, like and subscribe. And if you want to get hold of Bev Mann, you can track her down. I know she's very accessible. And we'll share
you can
some
Google
links
me,
as well.
Bev Mann. I'm on Facebook, Bev Mann, and Instagram is hashtag medium Bev Mann.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Bev. And thank you, everybody. Until next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.